All right, welcome to another episode of Health Knox series. Today's title and episode is Creating Sufficient Movement. I am your expert, your host, if you will, Dr. Trent Hippard. I am a certified lifestyle practitioner, certified wellness lifestyle practitioner. I'm the only one in Tennessee, corrective chiropractor, that is certified to give you the information you need to start making and implementing these action steps and strategies to making your life extraordinary and as well as your families. So let's jump into it. I'll be covering definitely some solutions today about how do you create and make easy in implementing these daily lifestyle strategies, especially towards movement and meeting those requirements that are needed and expected from your brain, your body, to generate, to express health. Now, I'll say this, you are given the genes from mom and dad, but you are not destined to live out those genes. So what I mean by that is mom and dad can give you the library, if you will, of your DNA, but in order for you to express that health that mom and dad may have, such as we call it hereditary diseases, whatever it may be, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, you have to live the same lifestyle. You have to express in order to express those genes that will express that disease, you have to live the same lifestyle. So basically, how simply I put it is this, that there's a recipe on all of your cells in your body, on your DNA. You're the master chef and you supply the ingredients. Now, reading the recipe, the blueprint, if you will, correctly helps you to express what you were designed for, which is perfect and fixed health. So with that to be said, it's good to know what are the ingredients, what are the expected nutrients in order to express health, because you were designed for that. You're not designed to be ill. You're not designed to have disease or chronic illness. And believe it or not, out of the 78 or 79 years that the average person has for life expectancy today, only 65 of those years are actually functional years. The last 13 years of a typical person who's living a standard American diet lifestyle today is riddled with more medications, more surgeries, and assisted living aspects. So if you want to maximize your life, the quality of life that you have in those years beyond 65, you're in the right place today. Now, if you have any questions, go ahead, put them below, whether live or in the replay, and I'll get back to answering them the best of my ability when I can. So let's jump into this. Skeletal muscle. We've been talking about movement as a requirement. We're going to be talking about creating the sufficiency to meet that movement requirement for you and your family. How do we do that? What is that? I'm going to break that all down for you today, but we need to start first with understanding that skeletal muscle is a major site for energy uptake, such as glucose. Now, it's important, we need to know this because this plays a big role in type 2 diabetes, which is continually to be, over the last 25 years, it's risen by 700%. So if you can understand skeletal muscle on a muscle cell level, we need to understand that the energy uptake through glucose. So with that to be said, when we create more lean muscle mass in your body, and that should be the goal for everybody, it increases these sites to take up more glucose disposal, if you will, the garbage men. There's more of them to take out the garbage, if you will, aka the glucose that's generated from this energy source, so to utilize it more. As long as your cells are not oversaturated, so if you're not eating in a surplus nutrition-wise, or you're insulin resistant. So there's a lot to unpack, but I'm going to leave it at that for right now. So remember, insulin resistance is rapidly increasing. This is good to know after just a few days of inactivity. So just as little as 2 days of being inactive, not doing any type of movement for a small period of time to an extended period of time, you can actually start to move towards insulin resistance. So this is good to know and factor in, because this is evidence to show you this is why we are designed for movement on a daily basis. Now remember, as I talked about in my last Health Knox series, movement deficiency. So we define what movement deficiency is, which is basically this: you're not meeting the physical movement requirements or physical activity requirements that's expected by your DNA, by your design of your body. And so what does that do physically and biochemistry wise? It's creating a stressor. It's moving you into adaptive physiology. And adaptive physiology is moving you into these states of metabolic acidity and chronic inflammation. So the two biggest factors we talked about last episode was insulin resistance and chronic stress response. Now, when we're talking about spinal health and how does this play into your spinal health, whenever we have increased inflammation, whenever we have increased metabolic acidity in the body, it is creating some type of deficiency in the environment. Now remember, you have to think, here's another great tip, think of your spine as an environment to your body, because it's the thing that holds you upright. It's the thing that helps move you, right? And it's designed to move. Now, when you're not moving and you're not doing it on a regular basis, and there's different movement requirements, you are leading yourself into movement deficiency syndrome, which is then putting you into this physical and biochemical state of inflammation, becoming chronic over time, and also acidity on a metabolic level. So that's where insulin resistance can come into play. And what's interesting, the research shows, and this research has been around for a while, that when we are not moving properly and or enough, so there's those two factors, not moving enough and the spine itself is not moving properly, it's creating inflammation. And so that inflammation actually, to one or more of those joints, starts to create immobilization problems. So the joint is not moving properly or as efficiently as it should be, which then is changing the information that's being sent to the brain and back to the body, organs and organ systems. So that changes in a healthy spine, healthy joint that's moving properly, healthy energizing signals and lighting up certain parts of the brain to be healthy and maintain health, to then we have immobilization to some degree in one or more parts of the spine, and that's transforming that energy to then becoming stressed and inflamed. We see that in little as 10 to 15 days of immobilization, of one or more of those joints of the spine, it then starts to create degeneration. We start to see this degeneration actually on x-rays as little as 2 weeks. So based on that information and evidence that we know, this is the great majority of people, whether they know this or not, are actually suffering from asymptomatic joint dysfunction, also known as spinal shifts, as we call them, before, get this, before spinal injury starts to generate any type of pain. So this is why when you hear me talk about symptoms or collateral damage or pain, it is the last thing to show up and the first thing to go away, if it ever is. Because again, going back to, if there is, again, this whole cascading cycle of understanding that if you're not creating enough movement daily, and there's different types of movements, and I'll talk about some of those solutions or strategies right after this, that this is putting you into this adaptive physiology state, which is chronic inflammation and also metabolic acidity. Now again, when we have a joint, one or more, that's being inflamed, so it's becoming less mobile than that's supposed to, it leads to as little as 2 weeks degeneration that we can see structurally on x-rays. So again, the majority of people are actually suffering from asymptomatic joint dysfunction or shifts in the structure of their spine without having any type of spinal injury that generates pain. That should blow your mind. It should be like, honestly, that should make you feel really concerned. If you haven't had a spinal checkup with a corrective chiropractor, which I know the majority of you who are in this group are part of our office, but if you're not, it should get you to start thinking you need to get that checked out. It's no different than dental health. You can have a cavity for weeks or months or even years without it producing some type of tissue injury before it produces pain. All right, so let's jump into some of your strategies and solutions. How do we make this simple to make it practical to everyday life of keeping it simple and adding in more movement? So first things first, movement or move by design fitness plan. So in the guide section number 5, there's tons of resources there of PDFs that you can download for free. There's our Move by Design webinar that I go more into detail about what these requirements are in terms of move fast, move slow, lift heavy, and then the fourth one is mobility or spinal mobility. So there's that. You can check that out. So you want to do this daily spinal hygiene exercises or stretches. These are provided for our members in our office, but also they're in the guide section. If you want those, you can get those today. There's a video of me describing and showing you what to do. If you have any questions, let me know. We should be doing those at least 1 to 2 times a day, kind of like when you brush or floss your teeth. Do it in the morning, do it in the evening, or do it whenever you have time. It's going to benefit you. You just need to do it. They take less than 5 minutes if you're doing them correctly. So please, I urge you, this is your reminder, do these spinal hygiene exercises daily. Okay, regular chiropractic checkups. As I had mentioned earlier, the only way to know that if you have a core problem with the structure of your spine is to have it analyzed and measured. And the only way you can do that is by having a corrective chiropractor such as myself or office that's like ours, assessing and managing and measuring that over a period of time to make sure it's meeting up with your goals and the expectations of what you want for your health. Okay? 30-60 rule. The 30-60 rule is one of the strategies I describe in the Move by Design webinar. This is very simple, and I just put a video out, or will be coming out soon, and I can put it linked here into this event, that every 30 minutes of you sitting still, standing still, being sedentary, do 60 seconds of some type of movement, whether it's running in place, jumping jacks, some type of spinal hygiene exercise or movement, so it helps counteract the effect of the negative effects of being sedentary and poor posture, which then impacts your spinal health. It's very simple. You don't even need a gym membership. You can just do that alone and you'll actually add years to your life because you're creating more of a mobility or movement pattern. Find an exercise buddy. It keeps it easier, funner for you to stay consistent. Because really, at the end of the day, a lot of the things that we'll describe in any of these videos and events is about being consistent, and that's part of me to help you understand how to incorporate and make these easy steps that aren't going to be hard and that you can be consistent for you and your family to do on a regular basis. And then also, you want to maximize your physical daily living tasks. So an example, if you're going to the grocery store, you've probably heard this before, park as far away as possible and walk. You're creating more mobility, more movement. Any type of physical living daily activity where you can incorporate more movement is key. And if you're going to take a lunch break with a friend or something, instead of sitting down and grabbing coffee or lunch, if you can, just grab it to go and go for a walk if it's nice outside, or do spinal hygiene exercises together, or work out over your lunch with your coworker or friend or buddy. The idea is to make things that are easy to incorporate and easy to stay consistent, because that is going to produce the results and the extraordinary health that you're looking for, and you can do it. I believe in you. I trust in you. Okay. If you have any questions, leave them below. Every Wednesday this month, I'm going live and doing a Health Knox series. And if you missed those, go ahead, look in the event section and catch up on the ones that you've missed. Next week, I'll be going live, again, next Wednesday at this time, 2 o'clock, and I'll be talking about the 5 negative effects of being inactive or not producing the physical requirements that your body wants. So I'm going to be talking about that more in depth. And remember, if you have any questions, let me know. Engage in this community. It's all about creating health, getting West Knoxville to be the healthiest community in Tennessee. Again, I want to thank you. And remember, when it comes to your health, you're worth it. Make it a great day.